Hello, welcome to this update. So let's see what's happening with the deep depression near India. We have some red warnings for extremely heavy rain in southeastern India, and uh, they have a high chance of development already there into a tropical storm or something, but it's still very disorganized there. And we have a medium percent chance in the southern Indian Ocean, the other system there. And yeah, so let's see, have these two areas, some very torrential rain near Sri Lanka in some areas there. Please be careful with flooding. And there's this other area near the Cocos-Keeling Islands with some storms there as well. So yeah, be aware. They even have this small invest near Fiji, but it's already kind of dying there. So let's see what might what might happen here. So the satellite does show those very heavy storms over Sri Lanka now, and southeastern India shows some heavy rain, but specifically those storms in Sri Lanka might be causing some very torrential rain in some areas. So please stay safe there. And the rain accumulation from the European model until next Sunday does show close to like 130, 122 millimeters near northern Sri Lanka there, but yeah, like 106. But even though it's just 106, it might cause some flooding in some areas because of the size of those downpours falling there now. So be careful in Sri Lanka. But now the European model has in Chennai more than 213 millimeters, 209 and 213, 194. So please stay safe there with heavy rain and some flooding, especially like some flash flooding and urban flooding. And it shows there's like 104 millimeters, other parts of southeastern India, even to southwestern India, some 118. Some are heavier downpours scared near southern India, and this might affect all the way to further north in eastern India. 119, some others 102 millimeters, like 103. So be careful along most of eastern India there. Shows some of this moisture might catch the tail end of this into Bangladesh and like into Myanmar. Even southern China show like 20 millimeters, 34 millimeters. Northeastern India some 43, 47 in some areas. So yeah, be aware there too. The GFS still has in the next 5 days more than 400 millimeters in northern Sri Lanka, 356. So this is a different scenario. This could happen too. I think 450 is too much. It might be exaggerating, but you never know. Better be prepared just in case. So if this happened, it will cause some catastrophic flooding there. And it has like southeastern India more than 200 millimeters, but the GFS like 21 millimeters in Chennai, and the European 213. So it's a big difference there. The excess has like more eastern Sri Lanka 142, 154 millimeters, and does have like near Chennai 400 millimeters in Chennai. The excess has, that's too much I think, but you never know because it has like this trail of more accumulation. So the excess forms like a cyclone and takes it right through eastern India, makes landfall right there. Then it goes further north, the excess like 500 millimeters and like 300 in other parts of southern India. But this model usually exaggerates a lot, so don't freak out that much, but just be aware along most of southeastern India for some heavy rain and flooding. And flooding can be very dangerous and can kill a lot of people, so please be mindful of that. And let's see, southwestern India, this model also has like 100 meters and more along the coast in some areas, so be careful. And yeah, there's the icon too. It has like northern Sri Lanka, some more, and eastern Sri Lanka, close to 123 millimeters, 115. So please be careful. Further north is like 142, 144 millimeters, southeastern India, and like 213 Chennai, exactly like the European, and more like 216 in other areas. So please be careful with flooding those areas and heavy rain. And also shows like near southwestern India, some 120 millimeters, 119, and those areas. So be careful there. And the models are still trending on this thing near Thailand and northern Malaysia. The icon is like 221 millimeters there, 217 further north into Thailand, like 228 millimeters. Most of southernmost Thailand and northern Malaysia. So be aware there. Other areas like 62 millimeters, 672, Sumatra, some heavier downpours from time to time, and the Andaman Nicobar Islands, close to like 180 millimeters in some specific islands there, so be careful. And the icon is Central Sri Lanka to close to 100, so be careful. And it has like central Indonesia, central Malaysia, 110, some more eastern spots of Kalimantan, 122, some more storms there for central Kalimantan, and like into Malaysia, some 130 millimeters, and more tropical downpours in those areas. Some areas less, but some areas like central southern Malaysia into Indonesia, more, and those islands in the South China Sea, so be careful. And this is the European industrial northern Malaysia, close to like 122 millimeters, and like 125, and the icons is kind of different. I told you this was the icon before, but it was actually the European, so sorry about that. But the icon has more along the coast there, like 291 millimeters, 274, and this would already cause a lot of flooding in those areas, like 360 millimeters, 297, 268. So please be aware, like southernmost Thailand and northeastern Malaysia, of that surge of moisture coming. So stay safe there. Some more downpours in Sumatra, central Indonesia, and in India, the icon actually has like 269 millimeters in Chennai, so a little bit more than the European, because when I was talking before, I thought that was the icon, but it was actually the European. So it shows like 269 all the way to like 238 in other areas. So please be careful with the flooding from that system. The icon also has like in Seabreeze Village 152 in the next 5 days, and more there near the Cocos Islands, like 25 millimeters. Does form the system and take it south there, away from land. So be careful, shows more tropical downpours central Philippines, southern Philippines, not as heavy as Indonesia, but from time to time those stronger storms might come, like it shows now, some in the southern Philippines. And like it's already showing Thailand and Malaysia, some heavier storms already there, southern Thailand and Malaysia, and some downpours in Sumatra, so be careful in those areas. And now the GFS has also like northeastern Malaysia, close to like 400 millimeters. So the GFS is very high with these amounts recently, 496, 325. So please be careful, northeastern Malaysia and Thailand. If I just put this until Friday, shows 200 millimeters. So just the next 2 days, only about 100 to 200 might fall according to the GFS, but in the next 5 days has more than 400. So please be careful. Shows some other parts of Sumatra close to 200 millimeters, and the European has way less than the GFS, but it does have some enough rainfall to cause some flooding, 206 millimeters, just until Friday, like just 113, until next Monday, 176 in some areas. So be careful there. Shows more along the South China Sea, like Trong Sa and some other islands there might have those heavier tropical downpours passing by. And the European still has northern Philippines, like 200 millimeters, some areas like 176, so be careful in the northern Philippines too. And it also has central Philippines and more in the next 5 days. The Europeans also in Vietnam, close to like 98 millimeters, some others might be some more downpours near southeastern Vietnam and southern Vietnam, and a finger to southern Cambodia. So be careful those areas and stay safe. But now for the system in India, let's just see what the models show. So the GFS does have this slowly trying to form with those very heavy downpours in India. This goals might become a tropical depression or something. They already call it a deep depression, but the GFS doesn't have it. The European doesn't have it to any consolidated cyclone. And this is the European actually, and I don't know why I am confusing the models so much today, but that was the European. This is the GFS now. So it does show the storm there, those very heavy rains northern Sri Lanka, and it does go into the Bay of Bengal. 995 is like tropical storm. So according to the GFS, we would have a tropical storm there. Even turns this into a cyclone and goes back into India. So the GFS does have an interesting cyclone forming. The Canadian model does have the system there. That's practically a tropical storm. 994 is a tropical storm, but we need to see the structure of it. If it's like organized into a tropical storm, but that definitely looks like it. Then you have a tropical storm making landfall near Chennai or just south in southeastern India, and kind of dissipates and leaves more downpours there in India. Later does have some more disturbances, the Bay of Bengal, the Arabian Sea, but nothing that concerning as of now. The icon has also there the system there does have go all the way to 997, like a brief tropical storm, and does have later 996 as it makes landfall in India and goes into the Arabian Sea again. So some models are hinting of this southeastern India landfall, and others are just lingering around there and kind of dissipating like the European is. But the European kind of takes the low pressure to southeastern India as well. So we will need to monitor this more closely. So let's see. They also have some dense fog advisories, northern India to be aware of, and some press releases here about the dense fog. So be aware. But now for like, let's update this to see like the the deep depression press release. So they do have some information here for the deep depression southwestern Bay of Bengal. This link is in the description if you want to read, but I'll just see if I find some warnings here. So they do have some reduction in visibility due to heavy rain, the flooding danger and everything. So this was one of the recent satellite images there with all those heavy downpours. And let's see, they do have this track here kind of drifting through southeastern India, just south of Chennai or some areas close to there. So be aware, this might form into a tropical storm, but also might not. Some models like the European are not strengthening this all the way to tropical storm, but most models are. And some models like the GFS are taking it far away, then curving it back towards India. But be careful there. If I were you, I would be making preparations for a tropical storm and more flooding danger. So stay safe. And there the wind gusts too, but depending on the model, might be different. The European has like Sahara gusts in the seas there. Because of this goes and like spins around there and has some gusty winds near the coast, but nothing that crazy. Close to like 50 km per gust. Some areas further north is like some 68 km per gust. This goes there and like kind of dissipates and goes into India, close to like 55, 54 km per gust on Saturday. So yeah, be careful. But some other models like the Axis, it's like speeding there, and does show the Axis does have a bigger cyclone forming. So I think this is too strong, but the Axis goes like all the way to like a severe cyclonic storm or something, close to like 114 km per gusts. But this is too much, I think, though, because this model sometimes exaggerates. But you likely be just a weak tropical storm or something, and like 116, 121 km per gust, still like category 1 cyclone. It's not anything that crazy. But yeah, it does have some stronger winds near the coast there. But just by the looks of it, it does look like a bigger system. But that's just like category 1. And then the GFS like roaming around and curving it back towards India later. And the icon has like a there, and the icon does have like a tropical storm, does have like some gusty winds on the coast, and this might generate some slightly larger waves too. Like the European has here those larger waves, and might have the danger of rip currents in some of those areas. The European does have larger waves in like the South China Sea as well, and those areas. So be aware. But now talking about the South China Sea, let's just see here what it has. So there's the heavy rain near Malaysia and Thailand. It doesn't form any cyclone there, but just continues with the heavy rain. In the southern Indian Ocean forms the cyclone there and kind of dives south and dissipates. So it might form into a storm there and then dissipate later. The Canadian model does have both cyclones forming, the one in India and the one in the southern Indian Ocean, then dissipating. The Canadian does try to get a disturbance on the South China Sea, but doesn't really stay strong. And there's the Neptune. The Neptune does form a tropical storm right by eastern India and the southern Indian Ocean as well. And then the southern Indian Ocean drifts and fades there. It might leave some showers in Australia later, according to the Neptune. But it does show some more disturbance the Bay of Bengal about the December 4th or something. But yeah, be aware. The GFS is that crazier cyclone forming, then weakening going towards India again. And the GFS is forming some out of this world systems near the southern Indian Ocean later in December, but that's too far out, and the GFS is known to exaggerate. But it does form that brief tropical storm in the southwestern, southeastern Indian Ocean. So yeah, be careful in those areas and stay safe with the cyclone, the heavy rains.